Hi, I'm proud to announce that we now have a subscription service up that is available for $9.97 a month, where you get, at this point, over 60 lessons with dozens of hours of video instruction, articles, one live class each month. And included in that is an additional 3-hour class that fits with the 1-hour class you've already taken here on the YouTube channel on reverse cause and effect, but it's a more sophisticated use of the tool called sequence proposition plot. It's a really extraordinary tool, and I'll be giving you a substantial tour through that further in here. So here's a look at what I'm offering, and I hope to see you there. So this is what it looks like. You get dozens of hours of instructional video. This one just went up. It's another hour. And there's a lot of great material in here. Here, we're building a comedy from scratch. So we're showing what it looks like to build a particular story. It's a fun idea. Here, we're working with the 36 dramatic situations. This is an exploration of possibilities for a fun comedy, and we'll keep building this story. So we'll be coming back to it, expanding upon it, and taking it further. Here's the class that takes you further into what we did in the 1-hour class on reverse cause and effect that you've seen in this YouTube channel. This right here is what you've already worked with. Then we go further into it, and we're expanding upon the script, Wall of Fire. Okay, so let's get a solid look at this 3-step process called sequence proposition plot. It's a more advanced use of the tool that you were working with, reverse cause and effect. In fact, sequence proposition plot is the reverse cause and effect that you studied in this 1-hour video on this YouTube channel. So there is reverse cause and effect for the overall story for Wall of Fire that we were working with. So now we're going to take this reverse cause and effect, so you read it from the bottom up, and that tells the story in a tight sequence. Now, what we're going to do is focus on the conflict that's in this. And I'll be showing you a quick example from another script, and then we'll get into the mechanics of Wall of Fire. So here we have an initial act of aggression by the antagonist, a justified retaliation by the protagonist that comes earlier in the story. So we're setting up a potential fight. The two enemies are crossing swords, and there's going to be a fight. Then we touch off a fight by the antagonist and touch off a fight by the protagonist. So now it's a fight to the finish. Only one person's going to walk away from this, and that gets the audience up on the edge of their seat, wondering how it's going to turn out. And if the question is powerful, then it indicates that the conflict that you're setting up and touching off is powerful. This is a question in the mind of the audience, wondering how this fight that's only just started is going to turn out. Then it's the back and forth of the actual fight. So this is just a very quick look at the mechanics of this part of the tool. So now let's see it all in action. So doing the conflict for the overall story of Wall of Fire, this is what I'm walking you through in the additional 3 hours of this class. And we're really figuring out the mechanics of the conflict. I'm explaining the tool to you, and we're working our way through the story. And this is a quick look at it. So this is the conflict map for the overall story. Then we take the overall story and divide it into acts, which you saw in the 1-hour process for reverse cause and effect. And we're going to take Act 1. This is Act 1 enlarged, and then build it backwards the way we did in the 1-hour thing you've already seen. Then we're starting to focus on the core conflict. What does that consist of? How do we build that conflict? What questions arise? What does the back and forth fight look like? So it's like a logic problem where we've got some things figured out already and some things that we need to figure out. So we put down the things that we've already figured out, and then we expand from there. So we just keep going through it and figuring more things out. And this is just a quick look at the work I've done. There's 907 slides in this class. So you're just seeing a quick look at some of them. But it's comprehensive in what you're seeing here, because this is a good sample of the type of work that gets us to the conflict map for Act 1. So we've done reverse cause and effect for the overall story, two-sided conflict. Then we've done it for Act 1. Now we're going to break the act down into sequences. So here are 4 sequences I'm finding in Act 1. And we're going to look at some aspects of Act 1, figure out what we're doing through the reverse cause and effect for this sequence. And as part of that, we're also looking at the Enneagram, the system of personality profiling. That's very deep and powerful. And the 36 dramatic situations, a set of elements: madness, disaster, crime pursued by vengeance, powerful elements with which to build a story. And so there is reverse cause and effect for that sequence that we've fleshed out. Then we're looking at what's the conflict in the sequence, and we're figuring some things out, building, expanding, thinking it through, structuring the conflict. So here is Act 1, Sequence 1. And there is conflict map for that sequence. And so you do it for all the sequences in the story, these same 3 steps. And it makes each sequence tight and makes it dramatic, because the fact that the audience is up on the edge of their seat, wondering how this conflict that you've set up and touched off is going to end, is a measure of how powerful the conflict is that you've set up and touched off. If the question is weak, then the conflict is weak, and you want to go back and revise it. This completes the action, completes the conflict. So then we're dividing that sequence into scenes. And there it is, divided into scenes. And then we're expanding upon the cause and effect for that scene, inventing a little bit more as it becomes necessary, in the same way we did in the 1-hour class on reverse cause and effect. So there is reverse cause and effect for the scene. Then we're structuring the core conflict in this scene, figuring it out. This is a very sophisticated tool, and you're getting a very comprehensive look at it. So here's what we've figured out. And there is the core conflict for that scene. And working from this, from the bottom up, you take what you've got here and you combine it with this, and you can write a tight, dramatic scene that has conflict in it, gets the audience up on the edge of their seat, is its own complete action. So we've done it for the overall story. We've done it for each act, each sequence, and then we do it for the first scene, and then we write that scene. So there's the actual scene written out. So this is a really advanced technique. I've taught this to development executives at all the major Hollywood studios, and they consistently say this is by far the most advanced development technique that they've ever seen. So doing it for the whole script, each act, each sequence, each scene. So the overall story, Act 1, and then we didn't do it for Act 2 and 3 in Wall of Fire, but that's what you do. And we did it for this sequence, but you would do it for all the rest of the sequences. And there might end up being 15 to 18 to 20 sequences. We're not doing them all, but that's how you do it. Then you do sequence, proposition, plot. for the opening scene. And then you write that scene. Then you do it for the next scene and you write that scene. So as you do sequence, proposition, plot for each scene, you write that scene. So you're getting pages. And here is a look at a real example of it from course 1. And so we've done it for the overall story, each act, each sequence, each scene, and then the actual pages written for it. So it's an excellent way to structure, develop, and write a script. And so that's what this additional 3 hours of classes on sequence, proposition, plot consists of. It's a brief but comprehensive look at one of the over 60 classes that are available at this point in the subscription service, with new classes going up every month and a live class every month. Okay. There's also articles and instructional documents, blogs. This one, for instance, walks you through step by step the use of each of the tools so that you can really use them fully and properly. And it's designed to show every single step. I don't want you to have to guess, like, what do I do with this now? It's really all built in there in writing to make it as crystal clear as possible. My main goal is it practical to you, and can you really use it? And so I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what's available in this subscription program. There's a lot of in-depth material that'll take you much deeper than what you've experienced in this YouTube channel. And it really takes you into detail with all the tools, with dozens of hours of instructional video and a lot of hands-on usable stuff, with a live instructional course each month where we do hands-on work. Just go to Script.Kitchen, come up here and click on the green subscription button, and you're in. Okay, I hope to see you there.